No one wants to see you win. What do I mean by that? Well, it's been my experience that people don't really want you to win. They want to see you doing well, but never better than them. And that is so true. Even your family members, like, they want to see you doing well, but they don't want to see you doing way better than them. Because why? That says something about them and what they're not going for in their own life. A lot of times people try and push their insecurities onto you. So like Jay-Z says, "Uncle said I'd never sell 1,000,000 records. I sold 1,000,000 records like 1,000,000 times." Like, his uncle didn't believe that he could sell 1,000,000 records because his uncle maybe had never done it. Like, he hadn't done it, right? And so he just pushed his own fears and insecurities onto Jay-Z. But of course, Jay-Z's not his uncle. So let's break down this statement of people don't want to see you doing better than them and no one wants you to win. This is just a harsh truth that I've realized in my life. Like, the very fact that you can start a business and your best friend will not promote your business but will promote someone else's business who's been doing it for 10 years is the exact point I'm making, right? Like, people don't share, like, you would rather share Kim Kardashian, a photo of her wherever she's doing, than share something that your friend's doing, right? And I've always been fascinated with why that is. Like, why do every human's like this, by the way. Like, there's no exception to the rule. Like, I have friends that, you know, they would share someone else's podcast but not mine, for example, right? And I've always wondered why that is. Like, what's the psychology there? Like, what's going on there? And the reason is because people would rather do that because it makes them feel better about themselves. It's like, oh yeah, I disassociate because that's some stranger that I don't know. So I'm going to share their stuff instead of sharing my friend who I know who's doing well, because that rubs off on me, right? And this is the psychology. This is how people think about it. It's like, if I share this person who I know and they're doing well, they're like stepping outside of the bucket, right? Like, you know, the crab's in the bucket. Like, as soon as you start to leap out of the bucket, the crab pulls you down. Well, when people are starting to improve their life and get outside their comfort zone and start making progress, that says something about all of their friends who are just staying stuck in the same place, right? So they're not going to publicly talk about how great you are because that actually rubs off on them. It shows them where they're not stepping up in their own life, where their fear is holding them hostage and they're not stepping into what they could be doing. It happened to me before. You know, when I moved to Thailand, like, a lot of my friends, they were just like, why are you going to Thailand? They couldn't understand it. And then they saw me get more successful, and then we just had nothing to talk about. And they would not talk about me in a good light. Like, you know, they'll just be like, oh, cool, man, you're doing that stuff, that's cool. But my success, my bright light was shining too much in their face to the point where they tried to block it out, right? And that's what people do. That's exactly why people will share other people's stuff who are doing well rather than your stuff if you're friends with them, for example. Because it just makes them feel better about themselves. People always want to feel good about themselves, right? So if, let's say me and you, we both have a dream of doing a handstand, right? And we both get a coach and we both make progress towards it, but something happens in your life and you just stop pursuing that goal of doing a handstand, and I continue. Are you then going to celebrate me? Most people, now this is not a blanket statement saying everyone's like this, but most people would not celebrate that person. Like, let's say that if something happened and, you know, you lost your drive, and then the other person's continuing on the path, and then they start doing handstands and they start getting all this publicity and stuff. Are you going to celebrate that person? Or would you just try not to celebrate them because you could have had that, but you kind of gave up, right? And so that's painful to realize that you could have had that thing. You were at the same point in time as this person. You both started together, and then they continued and you stopped. And now they have the result and you don't. That's painful to realize that, right? So of course, why would you celebrate that person? Now, this is most people, right? And this was me for a long time. And now I'm learning to have real happiness, genuine happiness for everyone, even if they're in my same industry and they're doing better than me and we start at the same time. And this has been a lifelong thing for me to get over, because I was that guy that was super jealous. I was like, fuck this guy, like he's not better than me, like all this kind of stuff, right? And that doesn't help me, right? That's not coming from a place of love. And this is one of the reasons why I want to share this, is because I think the meaning of life is to radiate love in everything you do and everyone you come into interact with, right? And to love what you do, and just to enjoy the passage of time, because we're only here for a short amount of time, and to enjoy that time as much as possible. So that's what I believe the meaning of life is. And so with that said, why am I holding on to this jealousy toward this other person? Like, that's not coming from a place of love, right? And that's as if to say that there's not enough for everyone. Like, there's way more than enough for every single person on this planet. And it's just an interesting concept to me that we can support others who are not close to us more than we support the people that are close to us. It's just the most bizarre thing. But, human nature is human nature, and you can't change it. You can just accept it and work with it. And so no one wants to see you win. Like, they really don't. Like, no one cares. No one cares about you. No one's coming to save you, and no one cares, right? Like, if you deleted all your social media tomorrow, if I deleted all my social media tomorrow, no one will fucking care. Maybe I'll get a couple messages, like maybe someone will ask me something in person. We think we're so important, but there's a yes and no statement to that. Like, we think we're so important, like people really care about us. People only care about themselves, unfortunately. That's the cold hard truth of life, like people go through life expecting so much. Like, I expect this person to act like this and behave like this. It's like, dude, you're alone in this life. Like, you really are. And yeah, you can find a partner, you can get married, you can have kids. But outside of that, like, you're alone. We're alone. I'm alone, It's a Saturday, I'm doing this video in my studio, We're born alone, we die alone. That's the sad reality. And nothing's real, only what we create. I rewatched a video of mine and my mentor, it's on my YouTube channel, talking about how to be successful in life and business. And I was just really inspired by that, which is what prompted me to do this episode right now. Oftentimes in life, I wonder, why am I here? Like, what am I doing here? And like I said, the meaning of life is just to experience as much as you can and love the process, right? And realize that the only thing that's real is what I create. And I have to be creating something every day. And I have to be putting in the work and doing something that I find worthwhile, okay? And so no one wants to see you win. It comes down to you. Like, for me as a person, where's my belief? Is my belief in someone else, or is my belief in myself? And once I cultivate that self-belief enough to the point where I believe I can do anything, that's where I succeed the most. Like, for example, when I was starting out in my career in marketing online, I believed that I was going to make this work. It was not even a doubt. It's kind of like when you prepare for a tornado. Like, the tornado is coming, so you prepare, right? And it was like, I knew that I was going to be successful, so I was preparing. I was taking pictures. I was like, all right, this is where I'm living now, in this shitty sofa bed. This is what I'm experiencing right now. This is how much money I'm making at the job I was at. And I took pictures of all this stuff. And I knew at the time that I was going to use this as my story. So everything that's happened in my life, like, I use it as my story. Like, I know every day you're creating your story. So I tell my friend, she broke up with her boyfriend. Well, her boyfriend broke up with her, and she was devastated, and she wasn't eating for weeks. And we had a 3-hour conversation. I don't like to give advice, so I was listening, validating. But I did tell her, I asked, can I share what I think of this situation? She was like, yeah. And I was like, this is part of your story. Like, you want to inspire women and motivate women, empower women. Like, this is part of your story. Like, this moment you're going to reflect on in a few months, few years from now. And this is going to be very, very powerful for someone to hear, because someone in a few years' time, when you tell this story, is going to be in the same place that you were. And this, what you're experiencing right now, you'll be able to use to inspire and influence someone in the future. So I really believe that, because I've seen it happen to myself so many times. Like, I know, like, when I was on welfare and I was cycling my bike to sign on to get my check from the government every 2 weeks, like, I knew in that moment that this is part of my story. in a few years from now, I'm going to be telling people that I was on welfare, and I'm going to be telling them that I knew I was going to be successful, even though I was on welfare, because I believe in myself that much. I know what I'm capable of, and the solution's out there. I just have to believe that it is out there and put in the work every day. And something's going to happen. I'm going to figure it out some way or another. Don't know how it's going to happen, but you don't need to know how. That's the thing. You just need to know what you want to do and why you want to do it. And that's it. Everything else will show up. Like, the path will be shown to you. And that's what's happened to me. Like this podcast, you're watching this on YouTube, if you're watching this on YouTube, but I'm also recording this for the podcast. Like, this was 9 years in the making. Like, I planned this out 9 years ago, and I just had fear. I just didn't believe in myself enough to do it. And I was also scared of success, because I know that my gift is talking to people, extracting information out of them, and keeping the conversation going and making it very interesting and engaging. Like, I know that I'm really good at that. I'm a master at that. And that is something that I was maybe afraid of, because I was like, oh, what if this actually succeeds? Then my life will change. Maybe I have to move country. I love living in Thailand. At the time I was living in Thailand. You know, all these things, like fear of success. No one really talks about that, but like, when you're successful at something, your life will change. And that's scary, because the unknown, like, oh, maybe all this comfort that I'm experiencing right now, I have to give it up, you know? So like, it goes back to self-belief, because no one wants to see you win. So if you don't want to see you win, then you're fucked. Like, literally, like, if you don't want to see yourself win, what chance do you have? And you know what? Recently, well, a few months ago, I was in this space of just like, fuck everything. I'm just going to stop doing absolutely everything and figure out what the fuck I want to do in my life. You know, like 5-year time horizon, 10-year time horizon. Like, what do I want to be doing? Where do I see my journey going? And this is a massive part of it, like doing the podcast, speaking, expressing myself, revealing who I really am, and just sharing from the heart, you know, because your vibe attracts your tribe. Yeah, your vibe attracts your tribe. So I'm going to attract the people who are like me by being myself first and putting myself out there. And that in and of itself is courageous, right? Putting yourself out there. There's so many people I speak to who are holding back from their own success. And I am too. Like, I have been for 9 years, like with this medium, right? Like, I've been successful in my career, but this particular thing of like doing podcasting, you know, committing to YouTube, for example, like, I hadn't done that in 9 years or 10 years. Like, I hadn't done that. And the result is the audience size now is smaller than it should be. Well, it could have been, because I didn't do that, right? And so and the only person whose fault that is my own. I'm the only person to blame for that, right? Because I didn't want to see myself win in that. And I didn't have that self-belief that was strong enough to continue. It's like, you start and you keep going. That's the formula for success. Start and keep going. And I started YouTube. I think I was on YouTube in 2012. And I stopped, didn't get momentum, right? And I have another friend, Mike Vastil. He started and he never stopped. And at the time recording this, he's got like 480,000 subscribers, right? So that's just one example of commitment and consistency over a long period of time. And that's something that I woke up the other day and I was like, I want to create a body of work that I'm proud of and be consistent at something for the long haul. I train jiu-jitsu, I'm consistent with that, right? Even though some maybe like out of a year, I probably take like 3 months off, but I'm consistent with it, right? And so what else can I be consistent at over the long term? Because that's how you get a black belt in martial arts. You have to be consistent over a long period of time. And so for me, that is, you know, doing a podcast, like having a show that I'm consistent with, and just having a body of work that I'm proud of. That's really important to me, because life is about enjoying and doing what you like to do. And I like to do this stuff. Like, I like to express myself. I don't know who is hearing this, but that's an add bonus, right? Like, I'm not doing this because I'm going to get X amount of views. That was my attachment to YouTube before, and that's why my YouTube wasn't growing, because I'd see the small amount of views and I'd be like, fuck this, there's no point. But now the motivation, the intention is different. The intention is, I want to do what I love, and the process of that is going to keep me engaged, so I enjoy it, and then the content of what I'm saying is going to improve, and then the people are going to show up because of what I'm saying. The love that I'm putting into this is emanating into like this whole form, right? And that's really important because it's the intention behind what you're doing. It's like, play for the love of the game. This is something that I've realized recently. You know, people who really win in life, they love the game. Like whatever game they're in. Like if they're in podcasting, they really love it. Like if they're in sales, they really love picking up the phone and selling people on the phone. If whatever thing you do in life, like if you do sports, whatever it is, music, you really love it. And so you never want to retire because you love the game. Like why would you want to retire from a game that you love? That doesn't make no sense. Unless you have to because you're a football player and you know you have to, like at 35, 36, 37, 38, like you're getting old and no high level teams will want you. I get that. But if you are in a long-term game, like for example, this medium, this is a long-term game. I can do this when I'm 80 years old, right? I can talk when I'm 80, so I can still do this game. You can play music until you're 80, you know, till your last days. So depending on what game you're in, you can play that forever, right? So why would you want to remove yourself from the game? Like if you're in business, you can do business until you're 100 years old, like until you die. So if you love it, then that's going to keep you in the game. And that's something that I realized, like, wow, I had this idea of like, oh, I want to retire. But actually, I just got to find something I love within this business game. And then I won't ever think about that because I'll just love doing what I'm doing and love sharing and love inspiring and uplifting people. And again, that's what I believe I'm here to do. So yeah, no one wants to see me win, but that doesn't matter because I want to see me win. And I'm just aware of that. I accept that no one wants to see me win. Like I don't have any issues with that. Do I wish that more people would support? Yeah, of course, obviously. But that will happen the more committed that I am to doing this, right? So that's what I've noticed in my life. Like when I was doing health coaching, when I started health coaching, like I started sharing my results and people started getting interested. And then I came out with a product and then I kept talking about it like every day. And the more serious I got with my business, the more serious the world got with me and taking me seriously. And so that's how I'm getting more guests on the podcast is I'm taking myself seriously and showing that I'm actually doing something consistently, which makes it easier to attract other people who are on the same level or above my level to come and do a podcast with me because they can see, oh, this guy is taking action. This guy is hustling. I want to be a part of that because he's clearly focused on this. This is not just like a one and done thing. He's like clearly focused on it. And that is helping me massively with everything, you know? And that's how it goes in life. Like people want to see you're serious before they invest in you. Like you go to an investor and ask for money. They want to see what you've done. They don't just give you money for the sake of it. They want to see where have you put your blood, sweat and tears into this and how far along are you for us to take you seriously. And that's it. Like the world's going to take you seriously when you take yourself seriously. And that's some life advice. Like if I was talking to my son, I don't have a son, but if I was talking to him now, I'd be like, this is exactly what you need to hear. Like you need to believe you can do anything because that self-belief is what's going to help you do anything in the world. Like, so what someone's playing the guitar right now and you don't know how to play. You put the hours in, you get the right training, get the right teaching and practice and believe that you can be better than that person. You can be better than them. You know, take your time, but whatever you believe to be true will come true. Whatever mind of man can conceive and believe, he can achieve. Henry Ford said that. And so that's just what it is, you know. And I have to remind myself of these mindset principles because what I've noticed is the longer I drift away from mindset coaching and just listening to these messages over and over and over again, the more depressed I get, in a sense. Like I just lose my sense of direction because I got to bring myself back to these principles of like, you can do anything you want to. Like you got to believe in yourself. Whatever you want to do, you can fucking do it. Put in the time, put in the practice. Repetition creates mastery. These principles are like lifelong principles. How to get successful is not complicated. It's just, what do you want? Why do you want it? And do the work. That's pretty much it. And then the how will show up, right? So I'm making it sound simple, but of course it's hard work, because then you got all these other distractions coming in. You've got friends and family and social stuff, and then you got to decide. Like for me, it's like, all right, what's really important? What am I willing to say no to? Who am I willing to say no to focus on this? Because if I don't focus on this, I'm going to regret not having focus on it, whatever it is, right? And can I live with that regret? No, I can't. So let's fucking do this. And then it comes into boundaries, and like, do you have any boundaries in your life? Like for me, I lived a lot of my life without boundaries. It was just that I was in places that didn't require me to have lots of social interaction. But when I came to Bali, I was like, holy fuck, I don't have any boundaries. I'm saying yes to everyone. And I don't spend much time with myself, my business. And I'm always feeling exhausted because I feel like I got to go here and here and here. It's like, this is trauma from my childhood of like feeling needed. I need to feel needed and wanted and all this stuff, and life, you know? But again, the point of this video was no one wants to see you win. Like if you're listening to this on the podcast, you have to want to see you win more than anything else. And you have to understand that believing in yourself is the holy grail. Like that's the cheat code to life. If you don't believe in yourself, you're fucked, because no one else is going to believe in you for you until they start to see that, hey, this guy, this girl is serious. Let's believe in them. But again, it starts with you. Sometimes you got to believe in someone else's belief in yourself before your belief kicks in. Like my brother, like he had limiting beliefs about starting being a musician. You know, like he was starting out doing piano covers, and he was like looking at the guys on YouTube. He's like, oh, they're way better than me at piano covers. I can't be as good as them. Well, yeah, you can, but if you believe you can't, of course you can't. And you know, oftentimes it takes someone else's belief, someone else who can see the path, but they can't see it, but you can see it. I could see his path. He was coming down the stairs every day and playing piano every day. He said he wanted to be a professional football player, but he was not practicing football every day. He was practicing piano every day. So I said, why don't you just focus on piano? And then he said, well, again, like all those YouTubers doing covers, they were way better than me. Yeah, because they're doing it, and they've been doing it for years. If you don't start, you're never going to be as good as them or better than them. Fast forward 5-6 years, he's miles ahead of them. He's way better than them because he's developed a skill set through repetition. So it's like, it's very simple, but he couldn't see that at the time, but he needed that little push from someone who could see the path and believe in him more than he believed in himself. And then that process, through doing the work and practicing consistently, I didn't need to motivate him at all. Then he went from strength to strength to strength. And now he's got, at the time of recording this, 21 songs on Spotify. His name is Aaron Darko. You can go and search him on Spotify and listen to some reggaeton. And he speaks fluent Spanish, you know, like he speaks like fluent French as well. Yeah, he's just an amazing artist, amazing person, first of all, and very, very skilled. People call it talent. It's not fucking talent. Like talent without hard work, talent doesn't work with hard work. Without hard work, you don't have like, oh, that person's talented. Like you have raw talent, yes, like he's gifted with music, but then you have to work on that talent. Otherwise, you won't become who you want to become. And that's what he did. So he worked on his singing. He had singing lessons. He learned how to make beats, learned how to play the piano, learned how to play the guitar, and now he's a master at all of them. You know, well, guitar he's good at. He's not. He wouldn't say he was a master at that yet, but you see what I'm saying. Like he's developed these skill sets through believing in himself, and I want to see him win. You know, I said no one wants to see you win. I want to see him win, but I don't want to see him win more than he wants to see him win. You know what I'm saying? Like he has to want it more than me. And that's how he's became this artist, right? He's wanted it more than me, because no one can help him. He can only help himself. Just like you, me, we have to help ourselves. No one's telling me to make this podcast, this video on a Saturday in the midday. You know, no one's telling me to do this. I'm doing it by myself. So this is what it takes to win in life. Yeah, I'm sharing this because this is also advice for myself. This is the headspace I'm in right now. Is like, let's focus, let's double down on what's important, and let's get it. Let's achieve what we want to achieve. You know, like this is the youngest I'm ever going to be. This is the youngest you're ever going to be. And I feel like I've been wasting a lot of time, to be honest with you, the last few years. You know, I had an amazing 20s, and then toward the end of my 20s, like, yeah, I feel like I've been wasting time, but I've been growing, but like not in the way I want to. Like I want to grow faster. do more things, accomplish more in a short space of time, because I'm, again, the youngest I'm ever going to be. So I hope you found this video helpful. Like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Comment as well. Let me know what thoughts you have, what things have been triggered in you in this video. Just know that, you know, you can do anything you want to do in this life. You got to believe in yourself, and no one's going to believe for you. You know, you got to believe first. So whatever you got to do to have that belief in yourself, that's what's going to make the difference, I think, in my opinion. And for me, it's like spending more time alone, doing deeper introspection, expressing myself more, expressing my thoughts, and sharing it with the world, and start getting back to who I am as a person, and not being afraid to share all of me with the world. So yeah, I hope you found this helpful. Again, link in the description if you want to book a call with me, talk about this stuff or talk about health, whatever you want to do. Let's go in the description. And if you want some coaching, let me know, and we'll be happy to do that for you. So yeah, my name is Aaron. As you know, I will talk to you in the next one. Like and subscribe, and see you soon. Ciao.